You can't mistake positivity. It's a genuine feeling that uplifts and encourages. Opposite direction, if people are positive, if people are feeling good or feeling happy or feeling motivated, we also pick up on that. So we pick up on it energetically, we pick up on it biologically, psychologically, in every which way. If we can postpone any kind of reaction, any kind of negative reaction for even 5 or 10 minutes by just saying that word stay, in 5 or 10 minutes, sometimes that emotion leaves us. That negativity leaves us. The word I would use is magic. It's just magic.
Hey there, wonderful listeners. We are back with another electrifying episode of Mental Health Matters with Dr. Ayesha Suneja. And I'm super thrilled to have you join us today. Our guest today is the amazing Dr. Ayesha Suneja, and I'm your host, Pratyush Mohanty. I'm so pumped up to be here today with you all and with our amazing guest to gain a plethora of mind-blowing insights. So how have you been, ma'am?
I've been really well. Thank you so much for asking. How have you been?
Ma'am, I'm doing great, and I'm super excited for this conversation. So, as our today's topic is something which has immense power to battle even the storm of our challenging emotions and challenging times. That is the power of positivity. I believe positivity isn't something which we can inculcate at any point of time because it might be subjective to some, but it's something which we can develop within ourselves over our journey. So I'm very curious to know, ma'am, what positivity means to you.
Well, one definition for me of positivity is just energy. And I would have to say that you are the epitome, to me, you're the epitome of positivity. Whether it be just your body language, your smile, your energy, I think it's something that is so powerful, and yet we can't quite see it, or we can't put our finger on it, but we can feel it. So I feel positivity from you. So I think that to me is like, you can't mistake positivity. It's a genuine feeling that uplifts and encourages, and you have that.
Absolutely, ma'am. Even I also believe that positivity has that magical ability, right? Which completely transforms our outlook. And I believe there should be a single day at least where there's no room for negativity and everyone stays super cheerful.
Oh, that's amazing.
Now let's dive right into our questions. So I have this first question for you, ma'am. Sometimes we do notice this thing. I just have this question that how do sometimes the small and seemingly insignificant things, like just sharing a smile or just having some handshakes with some close people, can contribute to a creation of such more positiveness and interconnectedness between like friends and anybody in general?
Yeah, no, you're right. I think sometimes we think that positivity has to be this huge change in life. Like, I have to completely change everything in my life to be positive. And so then we get overwhelmed and we think, well, I can't. I'm human, I have problems, I have issues, so I can't do it. So what we don't pay attention to are those really small, like you said, seemingly insignificant things that can actually shift our mood. Something like a smile. So when we see someone smile, we know smiles are contagious, but when we see someone smile, the most interesting thing is that there's a chemical that's actually released, right? There's hormones that are released. We experience, even with a hug, we experience such high levels of oxytocin throughout our body that our brain is producing because of that warmth and that connection. A smile even releases serotonin. So you're starting to feel better just because your brain is actually creating hormones and releasing these chemicals that you can't even control, but it's happening. So it's the small things that can make lasting change in your life, for sure.
Definitely, ma'am. And yeah, as people say, right, a smile is an universal welcome. So even when I'm walking down the street or in my school, I always give a smile, even to my junior or something, and they smile back. It gives you a satisfying feeling, right? So Moving on to the next question, what is it about motivating individuals that inspires us to take actions and make some positive changes in our lives and our communities?
Yeah, so actually, what you said earlier about you being close to people, walking down a hallway, giving someone a smile, think about the people that you're around, whether it be people in your home, whether it be people at work or at school. What you'll start noticing is that proximity, how close we are to people, actually does shift their mood. And it's not just, we know energetically that our energy does transmit outside of our body and people feel it. But even if we look at biology, if you're not happy, let's say you're stressed, you're carrying, your body is producing a lot of cortisol. We're carrying that actually in our body, we're carrying it in our sweat. And that sweat, when we're close to people, there's particles that come off of our body that start affecting their body. They're starting to engage in that. So whether it be high levels of stress, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you're in a room, you walk in and somebody is very stressed, or a group of people are very stressed, it starts affecting you. You start feeling more stress. And research shows that if we're in a room or in an environment where proximity, so it be, sitting close to somebody in class, or being very close to family members, we're engaging with them, we're sitting with them, we're sitting very close in a small room with them, we start to pick up on their stress levels. Now, adversely, this in the same, in the opposite direction, if people are positive, if people are feeling good or feeling happy or feeling motivated, we also pick up on that. So we pick up on it energetically, we pick up on it biologically, psychologically, in every which way. So it's really difficult for us to be close to somebody and not pick up on their energy. The other way that we pick up on it is what we call mirror neurons, meaning that if you are looking at me, my body and my brain cells, they will automatically start mirroring yours. That is how we create connection. And we are just, because of evolution, we have been created in such a way that we will mirror others in order to create connection. So if you are feeling negative or feeling down, my neurons will start mirroring yours, and it could look like concern, it could look like care, but the truth is I'll start going down with you. Adversely, if you are uplifted and if you are inspiring and motivating and you have a lot of positive energy, my mirror neurons will start emulating yours, and then therefore, and so much of this is out of our conscious control. We don't even know we're doing it, and it's happening to us.
Right, ma'am. Now even I can say that positivity is also now contagious, right? So, ma'am, what are some keywords or phrases that have the potential, like to inspire us and even uplift the most pessimistic individuals, or even us when we are at our toughest times, to basically make us efficient and use that energy to foster a more positive mindset?
Yeah. And so the key word here is, you said, a pessimistic individual, right? I think when it comes to pessimistic people, first of all, we have to understand that a lot of times pessimism, what we think of negativity, for them could be baseline. Everyone's happiness level is different. It could be fear. Some people are really afraid of being happy. It sounds strange to us, but it's like they might have had adverse experiences in childhood. They may have gone through something really difficult, but for them, being happy could be really fearful, because it's like, well, then I have no control. Because if you've ever been happy or really positive and something bad happens, right? Most people will think, oh, I wasn't paying attention. I was being happy. I was being positive. I should have paid more attention. I should have been more careful. So what happens is their entire mindset becomes very pessimistic, but it also becomes very, what's the word? It's like they start being very, very cautious and careful, right? Almost like hyper vigilant. So their brain is always scanning for danger. for like the next bad thing that could happen. So they start thinking, well, this is how I'm going to stay safe. So anytime I've worked with people that are pessimistic, telling a pessimistic person to be positive is very, very upsetting for them, and it feels to them like, no, I can't be positive. You don't know what happened to me. You don't know what I've been through. How can I be pessimistic? I just failed an exam. How can I be positive? I just failed an exam. I'm, broke up with my partner. My parents don't understand me, or, the opposite. If I ask a parent to be more positive, they'll be like, you don't understand what my children are going through, or you don't understand what, it feels like to be divorced or separated or having a financial loss. So when we say to them, oh, be more positive, it seems to them like a very, very far-fetched idea. So what I've understood is that when we have negative thinking, it's one thing to be thinking negative. It's another thing to be speaking negative. In fact, it's 10 times more powerful when we speak negative instead of just thinking negative. So our thoughts sometimes feel like they're out of control, but the truth is that we have control over what we say. So I would say to somebody that is pessimistic, struggling to be more positive or optimistic, I would say, well, I know that positive thoughts are hard for you right now. Negative thoughts are where you're at, but I would stop at that. When you complain, when you start sharing your negative thoughts, when you start talking about negativity and start explaining it like, well, nothing is going to work out and that can't happen, right? That has a power that's 10 times greater than just your thought. So how can we then just say, well, let's stop complaining, let's stop talking about negativity, even if we can get to neutral, just to a neutral state where I'm not going to spread more negativity. I'm just going to stay neutral and stay open to the possibilities. I would start right there, because we have to start looking at the power of our speech, the power of our words. When we start sharing those words with others, it not only affects us and them, it actually starts manifesting.
Yes, ma'am. I completely understood what you said, and I have this question. Are there any specific phrases or mantras that you personally believe in empowering your own at when you are in your challenging time, that empowers you?
Yeah, there's a few that I've used for myself. One of them is I am safe. Because if you think about, again, people that are struggling, a lot of times the fear that comes in is that there is not a lot of trust. There's not a lot of trust in life. There's not a lot of trust in people. If they've been betrayed or if they've had negative experiences, they could even not have a lot of trust in themselves. And so that phrase, I am safe, it just kind of, for me, it helps me to come back to the present. Because there might have been something negative that happened in the past. There might be the fear of the future being negative. But if I look at where am I right now? And like, for example, right now, excuse me, in my mind, I might go to some negativity that happened, some negative or adverse experiences in the past. But right now, I am sitting in a chair and I am in a room that is safe. I am in a space that is comfortable. I am speaking with you. So the reality is that in this very moment, I am safe. Another mantra or phrase I would use is a simple word, and the word is stay. And I use that a lot because let's say I am sitting in a meditative space, right? Sometimes I'll sit and I'll meditate. And during my meditation, a lot of negative thoughts will come. Thoughts like, I'm not doing this right. This is not helping me. All these thoughts about the future, I have to go take care of this, or why did I do that? And all these negative thoughts will start flooding my system. And when I use the word stay, it is not saying good or bad. It's not judging. It's not criticizing. It's not critiquing. Stay just means to me, just hang on. It gives me hope. Just stay. Just stay. And so then that way I can stay through my meditation or my whatever practice I'm doing. And the next time I start having negative thoughts flood me, like, I'm angry, or I need to tell that person something, or I need to complain, I need to gossip, right? We have these urges that are often negative. That word stay comes back to me. Just stay where you're at. Because if we can postpone any kind of reaction, any kind of negative reaction for even 5 or 10 minutes by just saying that word stay, in 5 or 10 minutes, sometimes that emotion leaves us. That negativity leaves us automatically because we just stayed and we didn't react. So I often use those two very simple ones: I am safe and the word stay. And it's helped me. But I was going to ask you the same question. What are some things that have helped you on your journey?
Yes, ma'am. During my examination times, I often encounter negative emotions, negative thoughts. That just before 10 minutes, I would have learned something, and just after 5 minutes, that's gone. So, I often just think, what's happening? I won't be able to do it at that particular time. As you said, stay. So at that particular time, I just keep myself stay calm. Then I just tell myself this thing: yes, I can do it. It's nothing is impossible for me, and I can definitely ace it. These three phrases for me are the most empowering and the powerful ones, which definitely helps me go through any of my tough tasks or anything. So yeah, ma'am.
It's beautiful. It sounds to me like through practice, even when you find yourself in a difficult situation like an exam, which is could be a terrifying experience for people, right? I've had the same experience where I've tried so hard. I struggle with math. So whenever I had a statistics exam, I would just draw a blank in the middle of the exam, just completely blank. And it's not because I didn't study. I studied, I crammed, I learned, I knew these concepts. But when I sat there, they were gone because of anxiety. And the anxiety blocks us from retrieving the information. And so one of my professors was really, really good. What she would do is she would put jokes in between the questions. And so when we laugh, when we just kind of think a little bit lighter, the anxiety goes down. And then those concepts would come back, would just show up in my brain, and I could complete the question. So in such a difficult situation like the middle of exam, the phrases that you have used to calm yourself down, to release the anxiety, bring the anxiety down so the clarity comes back, that to me shows how well you have worked on training the brain. Like the mind, you are training your brain and you've been successful at it. So I think that's incredible.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. Even you said that on anxiety, right? I also believe that anxiety are those like stones on the roads. Like they are the blockages to your flow of thoughts. So definitely, we need to eliminate those anxiety movements from our life, and yeah, life will definitely go on a smooth path. So, ma'am, coming on to our next question. So, we all have heard this phrase, particular saying that your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So, I have this particular question for you. Have you ever been in a group that seemed like it's a click and click of your vibe? And how does it feel like? Like, what was your experience?
Yeah, there's definitely, I feel like, when you find your tribe, it feels effortless. It feels authentic. It feels like you don't have to try. It feels like belonging. And there's a difference between fitting in and belonging, right? Fitting in is I'm going to change myself to be accepted. Belonging is I can be myself fully with all my quirks, all my, strange or, kind of like things that I find to be like, oh, I don't know if people will like that. I don't know if people accept me. But the truth is, as different or as weird or as quirky as I might be, the belonging feels like they find that to be endearing. They find that to be not just acceptable, but lovely. And so that's when I have found that, oh, I found people that I can click with. The conversations are just flow. There's no pretense. It doesn't feel like there's a lull in the conversation. We keep talking and engaging. Time flies. What it feels like could be an hour conversation feels like 2 minutes. There's like a longing for deeper connection. It's never superficial. It goes deeper. There's vulnerability. There's all these beautiful things that happen when you find your people. And it's the word I would use is magic. It's just magic. Hard to describe.
Yes, ma'am. So it's rightly said that you rightly said that it's a magic, right? Like, why do we have to change ourselves when we are ourselves? Like, we don't have to fit in somewhere. We have to be ourselves. Like, ज़रूरत ही क्या है कि हम कुछ मतलब हमारे में अंदर चेंज लाएं और किसके लिए या फिर टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ अ पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप. We are ourselves, like we are unique and we don't have to bring a change to ourselves, right? So that's the thing. Coming on to our next question. So basically, ma'am, this is a listener's question. A while back so this is a listener's question. It is like, a while back I found myself in a situation where everything seemed to be going downhill. The challenges were piling up and I started to lose hope. But then one day a close friend asked me a simple question: are you doing okay? And that single question completely changed my perspective. It made me rethink my approach and find a glimmer of positivity even in the toughest times. So, ma'am, how does it happen? Like, and why does it happen?
Well, we're hardwired for connection. It's in our DNA to connect with others. And when someone shows us compassion, when we can feel that someone cares. So, to me, that question somebody asked, are you doing okay? The question is powerful, but I think what changed and shifted that person was not just the question, but it was the patience that that person had to wait to hear the answer. Because so many times we'll say, hi, how are you? And keep walking. I've been guilty of that. Many times when I was teaching, I'd be in the hallway and I had to get to my class and I would see students and other professors and people in the hallway. And I would say, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? I never stopped to hear the answer until someone said that to me. It was a student from Iran. And she said, it's something very different in America. You people ask, how are you? And you don't wait to hear the answer. And it struck me that I'm not going to say, how are you, unless I have the time to stop to listen. Because it can feel very dismissive to people. So this person, this listener, when they encountered somebody who actually asked and waited and wanted to hear the answer, I think that is life-changing. It doesn't feel like that to us because, like with me, I thought how are you was a pleasantry, like it was like a form of just a hi, hello, but it's not. It's a very, very important question. And I have a story, and this is not someone I know, but it's a true story. It was somebody that at a university they gave their speech. It was the class valedictorian. They were graduated, I think, from college, and this was the story they told. They said that when this person, when he was in high school, he was very depressed, very sad, had lost all hope in life, and he had planned to take his life that day. So what he was doing at school was he was emptying his locker. He was taking out all of his books, his jackets, clothes, whatever was in his locker. And the reason he was doing it is he said, after I went home, I was going to take my life. I didn't want my mom to have to come to school to take my belongings from school. I didn't want her to go through that. So I thought, let me take everything out. He had a plan. Let me take everything out of my locker. Let me empty it so my mom doesn't have to go through it. And as he was emptying it, some books fell on the floor. And some kids that used to bully him were walking by and laughed at him, and he was used to it. He knew that's what kids did. And as he was picking up the books, another boy came that he had seen in class but never spoke to. And the kid said, hey, do you need help? And helped pick up the books. And then he said, what are you doing? He said, oh, I'm just taking these books home. And the kid said, the other boys said, oh, where do you live? And they realized that they lived close, and they started walking. And they walked, he helped him carry the books home. They walked to his house, and the boys said, hey, do you want to play football later? You want to throw the ball around? And the boy who wanted to take his life that day said, yeah, sure. So they ended up being friends. They ended up finishing high school. They ended up going to the same college. When he graduated from college, he gave this speech. That boy, his parents, and he himself, his family was in the audience. Everyone cried, and he said, I've never told this to my best friend, but he saved my life that day. And all he said was, hey, do you need some help? Just like your listener was like, hey, how are you doing? So he kept that inside his heart for so many years. But when he shared it, I thought it was a really powerful message.
Yes, ma'am. Even I was wondering when you just said this, like a single question has that much power. Even somebody can save somebody else's life. Like as the story you said, like was what help did he need? So that completely shifted his ideology of killing himself towards playing football with his friend, right? So this is I have this single word which is connect. This connect that was made between these two friends was truly magical and which was really enriching. So, ma'am, so I guess we are at the end of this episode, and I would like to state this thing, like. We know that positivity is the compass that guides us through the journey of our life, but it's my honor to say that you are the compass for me and probably for all our audiences towards inculcating and developing a more positive life. So thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your wonderful insights with us. I had a bunch of takeaways from these conversations, and I will definitely implement those in my own life. So, ma'am, do you have any closing remarks for our listeners?
Oh, I just want to say, again, thank you for the topic. Thank you for your energy that you bring. Your positivity is truly contagious, and it brings out the best in everyone, including in me. So I always feel better after speaking with you and doing an episode with you. So thank you for your positivity. It's life-changing. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Mental Health Matters with Dr. Ayesha Suneja. As we end this episode, let's remember to carry the power of positivity with us, not just today, but every day. Because a positive mindset is a catalyst. Well, we know that a catalyst in chemistry is something which speeds up the reaction, but catalyst here is something which brings a brighter and a more fulfilling life. So until next time, stay positive, take care everyone. This is your host Pratyush Mohanty signing off.